Selamat malam Bapak dan Ibu, selamat bergabung di Money Talk and Sharing Session pada malam hari ini. Perkenalkan, saya Dela dari ISACA yang akan bertugas sebagai MC. Pada malam hari ini, MTS akan mengangkat topik mengenai Beyond the Perimeter Protecting Data with Cyber Risk, Ratings as Your Primary Defense. Selanjutnya, saya akan membacakan susunan acara. Pada malam hari ini, setelah ada pembukaan, akan ada sambutan terlebih dahulu dari Bapak Erikmen Pardamean selaku Chapter Sekretari ISACA Indonesia Chapter. Kemudian akan ada sesi perkenalan moderator dan selanjutnya akan ada pemaparan dari narasumber. Kemudian ada sesi tanya jawab. Untuk sesi ini Bapak dan Ibu bisa menanyakan langsung melalui kolom chat atau fitur raise hand. Selanjutnya mengenai tata Panduan teknis dan data tertib webinar. 1. Pastikan perangkat yang digunakan memiliki koneksi internet yang stabil agar dapat mengikuti webinar dengan lancar. Kedua, gunakan username yang sesuai dengan nama saat registrasi untuk mempermudah verifikasi kehadiran. Ketiga, meeting ID bersifat pribadi dan hanya berlaku untuk satu undangan. Mohon untuk tidak membagikan kepada pihak lain. Keempat, peserta diperkenankan menyalakan kamera dengan identitas diri yang jelas. Kelima, diharapkan seluruh peserta menjaga suasana webinar tetap tertib, profesional, dan saling menghormati. 6. Peserta dapat menyampaikan pertanyaan atau pendapat dengan sopan melalui kolom chat atau fitur raise hand. Ketujuh, CPI akan dikirim atau diupload ke website setelah 7 hari setelah acara berlangsung. Kemudian sertifikat akan tersedia di MyISACA akun Bapak dan Ibu. Kemudian mari kita dengarkan terlebih dahulu sambutan dari Bapak Erikmen Pardamean. Waktu dan tempat dipersilakan.
Thank you, Mbak Dela. Oke, selamat malam Bapak Ibu, teman-teman, rekan-rekan, para members, dan mungkin juga ada dari teman-teman non-members atau dari publik ya yang join malam hari ini. Sebelumnya, izinkan saya untuk menyapa semuanya dan terima kasih untuk kehadirannya, sudah menyisihkan waktu untuk hadir di sesi Monthly Talk and Sharing Session di bulan Juli ya, pertengahan Juli. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Maybe if you don't mind, I would bring this opening in bilingual, Bapak Ibu, since maybe one of our speakers came from when we'll talk about the topics in English as well. Our topic for the time being is very timely and important, Bapak Ibu, as you maybe saw from the flyers. Beyond the perimeter, protecting data with cyber risk ratings as your primary defense. So I think in today's world, the threat don't just attack our internal system, Bapak Ibu ya. They can come through the third parties, the vendors, and from the whole supply chain from your organization. That's why the traditional security at the perimeter is no longer enough. Cyber risk rating, yeah, our topic by this time will help us see the bigger picture. They give the real-time insights into weaknesses in our own systems and also came from our partners. These things will allow us to act quickly, Bapak Ibu ya, reduce the risk, and the most importantly, build trust with clients and also the stakeholder. Let me also share one of my personal experience during these 3 years. I feel like when we talk about the third-party risk assessment or third-party risk management is no longer just a topic, but also become more stricter. One of our client maybe at the first time came from the financial services, especially from the bank, and the other one came from the insurance, especially the one who came from the multinational company or the one who have the holding from Hong Kong or Taiwan. They treat this third-party service provider very strict. The topic related to the TPRA or TPRM are become so real for the time being until now. And when we talk about TPRA, maybe if you don't mind, the security scorecard guy, I would like to mention these tools. The security scorecard become one of the tools they use. So saya juga pernah jadi korban. Saat ini korbannya security scorecard dalam tanda kutip ya Bapak Ibu ya. Our purchase order, saya kebetulan dari konsultan juga, itu nggak bisa terbit sebelum skor company kita terkait dengan security scorecard-nya itu limit the safe zone gitu ya, mencapai threshold-nya gitu. Frustrasi, iya pasti, tapi udah clear ya, again, ini terkait dengan managing risk, not only from the inside of the company, but also from the third party itself. So I think that's why I believe this topic will only grow more important in the future. And we are very lucky tonight that we have Mr. Edwin See. Hi, Edwin, the Regional Channel Sales Manager at SecurityScoreCard. Thank you for coming, Edwin. Maybe you would like to say hi to our participants,
Yep.
please.
So thanks, Pak. So selamat malam, everybody. My name is
Wow.
Edwin, and I'm the regional channel sales as Pak mentioned earlier. So to give a glimpse, I actually came from a consulting background as well. I came from a consulting firm. So in my previous role, I was helping companies, especially CISOs, on their third-party risk management, which got me a bit excited on this topic as well to share some real-life case study.
Mhm.
That whether it's with SecurityScoreCard or not, I can also share on what I've done previously with some of the partners or some of the customers that I work with. That being said, I think in what we have here in the room, we do have
Mbak Dela, apa kita miss Edwin?
Is it?
Iya, sepertinya
I see.
jaringannya, Pak.
Okay.
Okay.
and later. I would also like to know how are some of the members currently approaching their TPRM.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you so much, Edwin. Anyway, pardon me. A second ago, I think we missed you. I think you missed the connection, so kind of bit breaking, Edwin. The connection, maybe you can check later on. But
Sure.
I think,
Good.
yeah, I think right now are better. Thank you, Edwin. Yep, and also I would like to our moderator, Bang Harun, our president of ISACA Indonesia chapter. Thank you so much for attending this as a moderator, Bang. Thank you so much again, also to the security scorecard team who are already attend by tonight.
My pleasure, Eric. My pleasure.
Thank you, Bang. And maybe before we started, is there another click? Okay, Bapak Ibu, izin I would like to also share about our summit, our ISACA Summit, IT Governance, Risk Management, Assurance, and Cybersecurity Summit to 2025. Grex ISACA will be coming soon, Bapak Ibu. Mungkin beberapa member yang kemarin meminta, ayo dong ISACA bikinnya nggak cuma 2 tahunan, tapi juga setahun annually gitu. And basically dari masukan Bapak Ibu, kita pengurus Bang Harun dan tim gitu ya, trying to provide this Grex annually. Kita coba di tahun 2025, menyambung tahun 2024 kemarin ya, rencananya akan kita lakukan di bulan Oktober, tanggal persisnya nanti Bapak Ibu ya, kita akan share, mudah-mudahan dalam minggu depan kita bisa share more detail about the event. Kalau Bapak Ibu mau prepare dulu in terms of budget or anything, mangga bisa dimulai gitu ya, supaya nanti pas detailsnya keluar bisa lebih ini lagi informasinya bisa lebih clear lagi nanti. Tapi sementara save your date around Oktober di Jakarta. Oke, terakhir ini ada event COVID 2019 Study Group batch kedua, Bapak Ibu ya. Ini adalah program kita, salah satu yang sebetulnya baru tapi lama tapi baru gitu ya. Ini study group tahun-tahun sebelumnya sudah pernah kita lakukan. Ini kita buat tapi dengan format yang berbeda. Kita akan sampaikan topik COVID 2019 untuk Bapak Ibu yang para member yang sudah purchase the exam, pick the exam date untuk bisa dengerin tips and triknya dari Pak Rahmul. Di sini ada Dena, ada Mbak Laura dan juga Mbak Mutiara ya yang akan sharing teman-teman ini konten dari ISACA COVID 2019 selama 4 pertemuan. 1 kali per minggu rencananya Bapak Ibu. Silakan kalau Bapak Ibu yang sudah punya tanggal XM-nya bisa klik QR di depan ya untuk bisa register dan nanti akan diinfokan detailnya tanggal pelaksanaannya later on. Ada lagi? Oke, I think itu aja. Feel free Bapak Ibu to drop your question in the chat box. Dan nanti akan di run through during Q&A. Let's get started. And I think I would like to go back to Mbak Dela ya. Please over to you Mbak. Thank you, thank you.
Ya, terima kasih Pak Erik atas sambutannya pada malam hari ini. Selanjutnya saya akan memperkenalkan moderator kita pada malam hari ini yaitu Bapak Harun Al Rasyid, SE, CISA, CDPSI, yang merupakan profesional di bidang IT Governance, Risk, Compliance, and Security dengan pengalaman lebih dari 20 tahun. Saat ini beliau menjabat sebagai Director and Partner di PT Insan Dikara Teknologi atau IndiTech, serta terpilih dan aktif sebagai Presiden ISACA Indonesia Chapter periode 2025 dan 2027. Beliau telah memimpin berbagai proyek nasional terkait implementasi tata kelola TIK, IT audit, pengembangan rencana strategis TI di berbagai lembaga pemerintah dan swasta, serta implementasi SNI ISO 2071 di berbagai perusahaan baik di dalam maupun di luar negeri. Bapak Harun juga tergabung dalam sejumlah tim perumusan standar nasional dan gugus kerja ISO atau SNI di bawah Kominfo dan juga BSSN, serta dikenal sebagai profesional trainer di bidang IT GRC, IT Audit, dan accredited trainer di CISA. Kemudian keahliannya mencakup tata kelola TI, manajemen resiko, manajemen keuangan informasi, dan audit TI. Selanjutnya untuk perkenalan narasumber saya serahkan kepada moderator. Waktu dan tempat dipersilakan Bapak.
Siap. Terima kasih Dela, terima kasih Bang Erik, terima kasih Bapak Ibu semua yang udah hadir. Please allow me to share lead this session with bilingual. First of all, I would like to say thank you to our fantastic speaker who actually just landed from a long flight. Yeah. It's literally directly straight from a plane into the spotlight. So please welcome Pak Edwin. Yeah, I believe he introduced himself already. So Pak Edwin, before we start, perhaps I would like to share some information as well to our members ya. Allow me to speak in bahasa. Bapak Ibu, kita sejak beberapa bulan terakhir ya, sejak election ini kelihatannya cukup agresif gitu ya. Memang teman-teman dari masing-masing office ini cukup semangat untuk ngerunning program kerja gitu ya. Tapi kita sejauh ini udah hampir jalan 4 bulan ya dari terakhir itu. Which is kita sampai saat ini belum pernah tahu sebetulnya are we in the right track or not gitu ya. Jadi kemarin diskusi sama teman-teman juga di board, kita pengen bikin semacam kuesioner untuk bisa dapat feedback, dapat masukan, dapat kritik, dapat saran gitu dari para members tentang bagaimana kegiatan kita selama ini untuk semua kegiatan ISACA ya, baik itu yang MTS, baik itu yang study group dan segalanya ya. Tentunya kita juga coba balance beberapa rancangan program ke depan yang nggak cuma sekedar teknikal gitu, ada yang engagement ke arah social network, ada yang buat sport event dan sebagainya. Mungkin ditunggu aja. Dan satu hal lagi, kita juga lagi mengusahakan satu event yang waktu itu tertunda ya, terkait dengan sharing mengenai AI governance yang diterbitkan oleh OJK. Dan kebetulan kita sudah dapat tanggal definitifnya untuk bisa sharing ke members. Soon kita akan rilis jadwalnya dan mohon teman-teman tunggu tanggal mainnya. Jadi nanti mohon dibantu untuk members bisa ngasih feedback ya di kuesioner yang kita akan share, nanti akan disiapkan oleh teman-teman office, dan juga tunggu tanggal mainnya untuk next MTS berikutnya yang akan membawakan topik mengenai AI governance dari OJK. Oke, mungkin itu aja. So Edwin, I believe you have introduced yourself. So tonight I will lead the session in both language actually, even though we are open for questions in multi-language. Yeah, I believe Edwin can speak in multi-bahasa. He can speak Thailand. He can speak Philippines as well. He can speak anything, yeah, because he has a AI interpreter actually. Yeah. So Edwin, without further ado, I hand over you the screen, please. You may start the session.
Sure. Thanks, Pak Harun. Yeah. So, good evening, everyone. Selamat malam. And today itself, right, maybe make it more of an interactive session. Any questions that you have, you can put in the chat box first. You can address it together later in the Q&A session. Yeah. So before I start, I want to see if everybody can see my screen. Yeah. Perfect.
Sounds good.
So firstly, I would like to do a very huge thank you for our Papa Moderator for having us to share a bit more on how we can help companies or how the cyber risk security helps beyond the perimeter itself. Yeah. So I will not go through to introduce myself again. But coming from a consulting firm itself, we always like to look at market trends, look at understand research effects, because these statistics were live. So with that being said, I just want to share as well that SecurityScoreCard, we are a cyber risk saving platform. And in 2025, earlier this year, Gartner actually released a trends. These top 9 trends in 2025. As we look at this, it actually shows that the 3 pillars, enabling transformation. They talk about collaborative cyber risk management. That's something that is a topic that is close to the audience today. Managing third-party cybersecurity risk is a huge challenge for companies that have a very complex supply chain, and transitioning to cyber resilience. Most of the security leaders that I spoke to, it has always been a very reactive mindset. What do I mean by that? They are adopting a mindset where they will only react when something happens. As we move along, even the government of Singapore, they also actually highlighted that we should move to a more proactive mindset on cybersecurity. It's not that it's not to react when you get breached, rather than you should really be prepared that it's not when it's how you actually get breached. And as cybersecurity risk rating, it actually helps companies optimize 3 out of the top 9 trends by Gartner on cyber risk, collaborative cyber risk management. And you are able to collaborate with your internal and external stakeholders. It helps you to manage your third-party cybersecurity risk. And because it is a continuous monitoring, it helps you to transit to cyber resilience. Yeah. So as a next slide itself, we look a little bit deeper at Forrester, where we try to understand what actually caused the breaches for enterprise in the past 12 months. This being said, it is really more of a global statistics where they actually collected response from enterprise leaders. And with that being said, 28% of these are actually attacking on our external surface, and 19% came from our supply chain. So this actually shows that supply chain itself is most than often is being neglected. And these are the 2 key things that companies can do to protect themselves. Firstly, on the external surface, which is beyond your perimeter, as well as your supply chain, because these are interconnected with your system. So like itself, right, coming closer to heart, closer to home, I just want to share a little bit on the cyber trends in the region. So if we look at this, the top targeted industries in Indonesia itself will be on the financial sector. Traditionally, financial sector has always been a highly targeted industry, regardless in any countries. So because the data that the threat actors can actually get is very valuable. Commercial rates are also highly targeted as well as government. So this was actually published by Saitama, which is a threat intel company, on the current landscape of Indonesia. With that being said, we actually take a look at World Economic Forum. They highlighted that 54% of the companies, they actually lack the supply chain cyber view. They don't know how are their suppliers performing, how secure their suppliers are, which I will share a little bit more later on 2 case study that happened in the past 3 months. So that being said, CNN Indonesia also highlighted that Indonesia is actually ranked number 8 for the number of report breaches globally, and that was in 2023. Last but not least, the cost of the publishing ASEAN itself is 4.34 million. This was a research by Gartner. And IBM actually highlighted that third-party cyber breaches cost 40% more than relating engineering runs. This is due to multiple reasons. For example, when your third party gets because you do not have the direct influence or jurisdiction to actually demand for them to fix. And as a result of them being breached, your critical system might or might not be affected, which therefore it actually costs more than fixing your own internal ones. So these are the two recent supply chain attacks. 7th April, exactly about 2 weeks, 3 months and 10 days ago, two major Singapore banks actually suffered from ransomware. And this wasn't due to their own attack surface. It was due to they have a shared printing vendor, and this shared printing vendor actually prints financial statements of their customers. And as a result of that, there are more than 11,000 customers' data at risk. Imagine having your financial statements being leaked in the dark document or the document itself. So something closer or something more recent, about 2 weeks ago, there was a cyber attack targeted at Qantas. So Qantas is actually the national carrier for Australia. And this was actually linked to a compromised subcontractor system connected to their call center. So despite that, there wasn't much detail that was being leaked. It still resulted in a data breach of up to 6 million airline customers. And unfortunately, I was one of them as well. I received an email 3 to 4 days later after the breach itself. Yep. So next question, might ask me what are the implications from cyber attack? Definitely countries in this region itself will not be as such as GDPR, where they actually go up to 10%. But in this the Indonesia data protection bill that was out last year, companies might face up to 2% of the company's annual revenue as part of the financial penalties. And there might be potential legal actions where victims are able to sue or actually have legal actions against companies who fail to protect their data. That, aside from that itself, there will also be restrictions for business activity due to the recovery efforts that you need to do, and potential reputation damages and loss of customer trust. As we know, building customer trust is difficult, losing them are very easy. So with that being said, as the saying goes, you are as strong as your weakest link. So by ignoring your weakest link in your supply chain itself, right, isn't just a risk. It's actually inviting for threat actors to attack. Yeah. So next, the next slide itself, I will share a little bit more on how does cybersecurity risk rating helps to helps company gain visibility beyond your perimeter. So I'll use a very layman term. So imagine every company is a house. You have the best security team, people like I have the audiences in this room. You have the best internal controls, your firewall, your EDR, your SIEM. But there is one thing that is missing from this slide. Let's say if there is a very small hole in the rooftop, which of these controls tells you? None of these controls will tell you, because these controls are actually internal controls, which means you will only detect any threat actor when they are already in your environment. These controls are not positioned to tell you there's a small hole or there's a small leakage in your rooftop. So some of my friends in the security side will tell me, yeah, actually, I mean, you're wrong. I do pen tests, and pen tests will tell me that there is a small hole in my rooftop. I agree. I say I coming from a consulting background. Technical assurance side, pen testing definitely help you. But my next question is, how long do you do pen testing? The more rigorous industry like financial sector I know, probably does pen test twice a year. Regular companies they only do it once a year. So if then it boils down to risk. Are you willing to risk that there is a small hole in your rooftop for 6 months? So that's a usual question I take. So with that being said, right, what actually missing in this slide is a radar. So for us, we actually, for cyber risk rating platform, it actually serves as a radar where it will tell you that there's a very small hole or crack in your rooftop because they are doing proactive and monitoring. So with that being said, this actually complements pen tests because pen tests, you have a risk window, months or even year. But for cyber risk rating itself, it actually reduces your risk window or your risk tolerance from months to days. Essentially, without a radar, you are one step behind your threat actors outside automation because you can't protect what we don't know. So next, I'd like to touch a little bit more to understand a bit on what is an initial infection vector. So initial infection vector itself refers to the initial point of entry where threat actors how the path they actually come to enter into your internet environment. So that being said, this is before any data breach, before any leakage, before any ransomware. It only refers to the initial point of entry or the points of entry that the attackers or threat actors could take to enter your environment. So with that being said, when we look at initial infection vector, we look at Mandiant. Mandiant is one of the world-renowned internet response company, and they are actually acquired by Google about 2 years ago. So in 2023, Mandiant actually came out with the M-Trend reports based on the companies that they actually helped on incident response, and based on the investigation or the IR or the compromise assessment that they actually did, they highlighted that 32% actually came from exploits, 7% came from website compromise, and 2% came from internet-facing server. Aside from that, 14% came from stolen credentials. Cyber risk rating platform is able to give you the visibility on these aspects. These are actually what I referred earlier to the holes you have in your rooftop. Because for example, phishing, phishing itself, right, you only notice it when it actually enters your environment via email. So if your internet controls like your email gateway doesn't capture it, there will be a potential phish. So with that being said, M-Trend report of Mandiant actually released the report last year in 2024, and this actually increased to up to 58%, where cyber risk rating platform is able to provide you that visibility on the cracks you have in your rooftop. So for cyber risk rating itself, right, it adopts a zero trust rate. The reason why is because they are not deployed into your internal environment. They do not believe what tools you have, what email controls you put, and what policies you have. What risk rating platform does is they do a proactive and continuous monitoring, giving you or supporting you in your zero trust lane. So there's a couple of use cases for cyber risk rating itself, primarily more on the side and subsidiaries. It usually gets a little bit political. While in my previous time working at a consulting firm, so when I speak to group CISOs, they will always tell me, say, they had challenge understanding what is the actual posture of their subsidiaries. Whenever they ask how is the security posture, one key challenge is some of them will actually use NIST, some of them will use ISO. There isn't a standardized ruler for the group itself to assess all securities in one go. The second challenge that group CISOs face is whenever they ask, they will always say, my posture is the best. I have this control, that control, I have this policy, that policy, I have certifications. But there isn't any way that the group itself could validate. With risk rating platform, the group could have a single ruler to unify the measurement across all subsidiaries. And at the same time, they are able to do external validation of what the subsidiary actually shared. The second use case for risk rating platform itself will be more on the supply chain risk, cyber risk monitoring. And this, and in today's world, in today's interconnected world, most companies are connected with, for example, call center and stuff. And how do you actually measure their posture? Usually, as a norm, you will always do a questionnaire, and after they fill a questionnaire, you might do a citing on their policies, on their controls, and it is only done once a year, and might or might not be done on a yearly basis. So that also increases the risk window of your providers, especially if they are your critical providers. Last but not least, cyber risk rating platform help companies to understand or help to address on competitor benchmarking, where you are able to use the same ruler to measure yourself against your competitors to see how far you fare. Here are some of the use cases where cyber risk rating platform helps companies understand the current threat landscape. Essentially, cyber risk rating platform, they provide you outside internal view to give you the visibility as a hacker. So in terms of a hacker's point of view, this is how your landscape looks like to the attack actors. This platform itself would be able to have reports that you can share internally to your risk and security team or externally. It helps companies with cyber due diligence, especially on the third-party risk itself. It helps with ethical level reporting, especially for the group level where they want to actually share how am I comfortable, how am I right now. And there is a point on compliance where you are able to base off, for example, ISO controls, based off external facing assets. Do you comply to a certain control in NFA? So cyber risk rating platform is able to support not only on ISO, for example, NIST, DORA or NIS 2.0 as well. So there is a series of frameworks that based on external surveys or external assets, we are able to devise and to comply with it. So back to this same story on the house again. But now in this interconnected world, you are heavily reliant on your vendors, your tech vendors, your tech vendors, your call center, your consulting. So we help companies understand or address two key things. Firstly, what is the current state of your supply chain or your supply chain cyber risk? Without knowing your current state, you will not be able to actually identify your desired state. Without having your desired state, you will not be able to know how to maintain your desired state. With that being said, the next slide itself is very visual. So at a glance, cyber risk rating platform is able to let you know currently what is the average portfolio rating, what is the distribution, how many vendors are A, B, C, D, F. With that being said, every company have their own risk appetite. Based on the company's risk appetite, you are able to dictate, for example, I want my critical vendors to be B and above. You could actually add in non-technical controls in the vendor contracts that state that they are subjected to cyber risk monitoring. And if you fall below a certain grade based on your desired state, they will be terminated. So that helps companies maintain their desired state. So usually I get this question a lot, which I also want to address here. Most of my friends or the people I stick to, they actually ask me, how do you define critical vendors? My question is, it depends. The reason why it depends, for example, a flight book, because every industry have their critical or a system they are reliant on. For example, for airlines, they are heavily reliant on their flight booking system. Without their flight booking system, they will not be able to check in customers. They will not be able to understand the flight manifest. They will not be able to do any bookings. So it depends on the industry to define what is a critical vendor to you. Based on my understanding, I don't think there's any guideline. Correct me if I'm wrong after the Q&A. I don't think there's any frameworks or guideline to dictate how do you define critical vendors. But as a rule of thumb, we usually suggest that as long as firstly, you share any PII to your vendors, they should be a critical vendor. Secondly, if you allow remote access to your vendors, it should be a critical vendor. Thirdly, if they actually put any company secrets, IP or confidential data, it should be a critical vendor. Fourthly, if the vendors get, or if this vendor get breaches and it heavily disrupts your business, it should be a critical vendor. So there are some guidelines or there are some best practices, but based on my understanding now, there isn't any standards for identifying your critical vendors itself. Yeah. So maybe at this point, I'll just take a minute to explain on SecurityScoreCard itself, how we actually help companies to understand their parameters. For SecurityScoreCard, we have multiple sources where we have in-house and a commercial sources like the virus broker, where we collect this data, or we call it signals, into our data lake, applying AI, ML, and proprietary technology for us to run through all the checks to give you a rating from A to F. Essentially, how it works a bit more like a credit risk check for the financial side, or like a health checkup. When we go for a health checkup, we actually would be able to see the different level of cholesterol, your sugar, glucose level. We based on that different domains, we give a rating from A to F. And with that being said, it doesn't stop there. We will let you know that these are the small little holes we have in the rooftop. And we are then able to work on this hole before the threat actor finds out. So with that being said, we are a pure SaaS platform. There is no decoupler required. With that being said, there is no change in network and security architecture. That even any cyber threat intel expertise required. And it is because it is a pure SaaS platform, you can actually access it from your browser anytime. We have a very short time to go live. Yes. So we are trusted by Forrester itself, and they've been in the Gartner's clearance side. I will not touch a lot more on this. These are more of the marketing side. I'll just like to share one key thing is that Forrester was highlighted that we are the only vendor that publishers like to recruit. That being said, what it actually means, if you go to SecurityScoreCard.com/trust, you will be able to see the past 7 days of accuracy and variation rate. So what it means, cybersecurity is very binary. It's either yes or no. So let's say if there is a domain or IP that is not yours, if you submit an appeal saying that there's not mine within 72 hours, if we are right, we are wrong, the retrieval rate goes up, the misretrieval rate goes up. So we work with SMP as well, where they actually use cybersecurity data from SecurityScoreCard. And maybe just to share as well, we do work with insurers, cyber insurers as well. So as we looking back at the COVID time, there was a lot of ransomware without breach. The cyber insurance paid out a lot. So we do work with cyber insurance like the where cyber risk rating itself is leveraged as one of the mechanisms. For example, if you would like to get a quote for cyber insurer, let's say for Tokyo Marine will actually use cyber risk rating platform to understand what's the score. If you are, for example, D and below, you will not get a quote. If you are C, your premium will be higher. If you are A, maybe you have a lower premium. And cyber insurance itself, they are doing what we call a continuous underwriting now. In the past, whenever you get cyber insurance, once you got onboarded, for the next 1 year, they will not reach out to you, they will not care about you. So, but cyber insurance are actually changing the mindset as well, where they are changing more to a proactive mindset. They actually are adopting continuous underwriting. What it actually means, during the insured period that you are insured, or companies are insured, as and when there is a sudden drop in your scores, they will inform the companies that you need to fix this because there's a potential risk over there. And if you don't fix it, they would actually put it at exclusion due to the fact that they actually inform you and you're not fixing it. So this is actually more on the continuous underwriting portion. So last but not least, I wanted to share a real life case study that happened last year in September. So this case study will revolve a little bit more on my SQL service observed. This is what I refer by that one little small crack or a small hole in the rooftop that might potentially cause a fish impact. So we actually went to this company, and sorry, before that, but we actually to give a background, we went to meet this company in Malaysia, and we met the CIO and his CISO team. So before we actually started the sharing itself, we did share with us that we are engaging, we are using Micro, the full suite Micro, including the USM and all the full suite of it. So he said, since you are here, let me show you my small part and we can see how we can go from there. So we actually shared the small card with them. And the first thing we observed is my SQL service observe. So essentially what it actually means, it means that there is a database that is out there in the public, that is out there in the external facing environment on that. So with using cybersecurity risk rating platform itself, you are able to understand these little holes that you see in the risk score. And with that being said, the platform will also explain to you what is this risk, why is this risk, and how do we actually recommend to actually fix this risk itself. So when we shared it to the CIO was saying, look at the CISO, what happened? Why are we having this? So he tell me more. I want to know a bit more on what was being affected, what was being exposed. So I mentioned, I think I shared a bit earlier, we are very binary. It's either yes or no. So we went a little bit deeper. We understood, we shared them, this is the affected IP, and this was being affected when it was being discovered. So cyber risk rating platform also shares with you that based on companies of a similar size compared to similar companies, how many companies have this issue. These are data driven, or this data would help companies make a bit more informed decision when they are doing risk assessment, for example. So as we narrow down to this IP address itself, we saw that it's under construction. And if you look at the Sanam.io, right, the customer isn't Senang. So we based on this fact itself, we assume that they are working something with Senang. Senang could be their third party or could be their supplier that's supporting them in the building of website. So as we dive a bit deeper, we didn't use any tools, no nmap, no NASM, nothing. It's more of a hacker. We managed to see based on this, we saw that they are actually staging environment, and this is the affected IP. The next thing we saw based on the environment file, we saw that talking with file database. So we click on the first database itself, and we saw the configuration. Based on this configuration, we went to see the policies. We managed to see that there is a login page. So the irony part that this platform is called Senang Sikit. So it's make it easy. And the funny part is it's actually making very easy for threat actors to actually go into your environment. So with that being said, we actually didn't use any hack as well. We're still using the same web browser. We managed to see claims. This is where scam starts. This is where reputation damages happen. And this is where customer lost trust of there's a customer loss of trust from customers. And with that being said, we didn't only see one claims. We actually managed to see or exploit the full list of claims that was submitted in this because they are actually using live data. So this case study itself, right, will actually share more often than not when we are actually doing staging environment or pre-go live, companies will definitely take about 3 to 6 months or 9 months before they go live. They do a pen test to find the latest hole you have in your application. But with a cyber risk rating platform, you are able to go beyond your parameters because although that this domain is not managed by you or influenced by you, your third-party supplier managing this would have a direct impact to your business. And that is what we actually come back to the topic of beyond the parameter, beyond your own parameter. It is important to also understand your suppliers or supply chain parameter. So with that being said, I hope everyone enjoyed your session earlier, and I hope there was some insight being shared with you. Yeah. So next we will actually touch on question and answer.
Okay. Thank you very much, Edwin. Very insightful presentations. So before I read all the questions, perhaps I would like to ask some from myself. Can you go back a couple of slides where there's a score? How do I say it? The accuracy of this scorecard? This one.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, yeah. Somehow I believe that these scorecards, you need to consume a very huge amount of data in order to get this fully insight like this, yeah. How can we ensure that the quality of the data and the accuracy of the data? Sorry, is that coming from the noise? Can someone help the noise?
I think it's from one of the attendees. Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay. So yeah, regarding this accuracy thing, yeah, can you just somehow can you walk us through how the scorecard collects the data? Because we know that even the live systems is also dealing with the false positive and so on, and we have some obsolete data, we have some inaccuracy and many things. So how can you describe the accuracy of the system?
Perfect. Thanks, Park. I think this is a very, very good question. Addressing to this, because for SecurityScoreCard, what we do is we provide you the outside-in view, where we collect data from multiple sources. So for example, like virus filter, we own the largest honeypot, largest DNS sinkhole, and how we attribute, for example, here on this slide, how we actually attribute the domains or the IPs on your external surface, that is based off like whois or DNS lookup. So these are actually very binary. It's either yes or no. So that's a very good question because I want to share on this case study as well. So we met one of the company, and we showed the scorecard. So the company actually shared, hey, I don't have a Thailand domain. I definitely don't have a Thailand domain. So we click on the Thailand domain. We show him that based on the who is still registered under to this company in Malaysia. So for us, we are very binary. It's either yes or no. So when he went to investigate a bit deeper, they actually sold off the company, the Thailand entity 3 years ago, but nothing was changed in their whois. So essentially, what we share with them is that if I'm looking at a hacker's point of view, I will attribute this domain back to you because it is linked to you in a form of evidence collection from, let's say, your whois or DNS. And that's for the reason why we are very confident of our data accuracy. And we do not touch internal application or internal environment, so we will not be able to share more insight on that. So on this note, I just want to share another analogy. As mentioned earlier, we are like a radar. So for example, if you see a plane coming towards you, based on the plane shape, we are able to let you know whether this plane is an A350 or it's an Airbus. But if you ask me, I mean, is the pilot male or female? I can't tell you. That is more invasive. Or you ask me a question, I mean, if in the plane, right, how many passengers are there? I can't tell you because that is more on the invasive side. So we collect information based on things, for example, when we look at the airplane based on this size, this shape, we can let you know what kind of model is it. And that is how we actually work on the data itself. Yeah.
So are you collecting this data frequently? I mean, is it like a real-time data that you consume?
That's a very good question. So we do have a 44-page white paper that actually shares the collection frequency of all our line items, all of the checks that we do. So we do more than 240 checks, and each of these checks, it varies from daily, weekly, or monthly. So there is a white paper that we address to these data collection points on the frequency of the scans or frequency of the collection.
Do you think is it a possibility to be compromised? We have the data poisoning attack in such cases, like is that could be impacted by those attacks?
I would say it depends on that. For example, let's say we talk about AI, for example, AI security, it's really hot topic right now. These are some of the checks that we do not do. And as a result of that, we are very transparent. We will let companies know these are things to be checked. We will highlight clearly, example, all the 240 checks, this is what we check. It gives the company the due diligence to also check on items that we do not pick up. For example, let's say AI security, usage of AI in the company, we do not check that. So we are transparent to the point that we let you know what are the checks. And touching on this itself, check landscape changes on a day-to-day basis. We all know that. With that being said, we do have a threat intel team, we call it Stack team, that provides these feeds to the product team. And we actually extended our checks periodically. So recently we are at 240 checks. In the past, it was about 230. So as the threat landscape evolve, we will also conduct more checks on the scorecard to give a more comprehensive and a better visibility beyond our perimeter.
Okay, so what are those telemetry that you are monitoring at? We're looking for the DNS configuration. We're looking for any security certifications, perhaps because there's some of them might be just revoked or might be just expired and so on and so forth. We have so many false positive, right? So how do you actually if somehow my companies have something such case, and can we just do something to inform you guys that we actually don't have that risk anymore in our place? Is there any way to
that's a very
fix
good
that?
concern. Right. So that being said, firstly, I would like to address it in two parts. The first part is such that we address on different domains. For example, your network security, your application security, for example. There's 10 domains that we actually, or we call it the 10 score factors that we focus on the different domains. That's one. The second itself, for example, things like, I would say the most common observation that I see, right, is SSL cert expired, or SSL is not being renewed. It's a norm. Every 1.5 years or 2 years, you have to renew your cert. And most companies, they actually outsource this out because they do not know how to fix it. Companies that I talk to, I also ask them, do you know how to do it? They fully outsource it. So when that happens, and if any change in personnel within that company itself, these are the things that will be overlooked because nobody keeps track of it. And it is heavily reliant on an outsourced provider, or let's say your managed IT providers. So that is on the second part itself. These are some of the observation we see. If you have fixed it during our routine scan, if the scan doesn't detect it anymore, it will be removed from the observations and your score will go up. That's one way. The second way itself, as a user of the scorecard, you are able to have two options. A, appeal that this is not an issue. I can't find the issue. I need you to replicate the issue for me. That we get quite from there as well. Second is I have already fixed it. So once you submit that button itself, within 72 hours, the scan will be activated. If the issue is no longer there, it will actually bring your score up.
Oh, so the customer can do appeal for fixing the issues, right?
Yes, you have a control that you are once you actually fixed it, you can submit that you have fixed this up. Yeah.
The evidence can be submitted to your part, and then you can just update it.
We don't really need evidence because when you initiate the fix, right, we will scan, and because we are doing on the outside in view, if you have done the correct controls or remediation, we are able to get it. Yeah.
Okay. I have another question from actually it's from our my friends in some service provider. He questioned that what if some of the IP blocks actually leads to the customer, so that could impact the whole ratings for their company. I mean, as a provider, they got a low rate, low score because some of the customer doesn't protect quite well, doesn't give a proper cybersecurity posture. So it impacted to the ratings of the provider itself. So how can you manage that? Is there any way that you can exclude? Because somehow if you go through to the registrar, the IP is still registered to under his company's name.
So that's a very good question. I will say there's two ways lah. There's a right way and the wrong way. Right way by right.
I like it.
By right, you have to. For example, if you are managing, let's say I'm a service provider, I'm the web hosting provider, for example, and then with a company ABC. Based on the DNA and who is itself, right? This domain should be attributed to the company itself and not me. That's one. That is the by right way. By right, you can write in to the registrar for them to say that you are actually the provider, but I'm not the owner of the domain. The domain owner belongs to this company ABC. That's the right way. It's the right way and might not be the easiest way. Anything easy doesn't anything good won't be easy lah. Definitely. So the wrong way itself, right, is companies can also reach out to us saying that these are not mine. So giving a real life case study, we were working with the Institute of Higher Education, and this institute itself, they said, I have 6 IP range, 6 different IP range, but I don't manage 5 of them. So being a curious me, I asked like, what do you mean by you don't manage them? They say I have multiple satellite campus. Each IP range is for each campus. And this IP range is tagged for students. And these are things that I cannot manage and it's isolated from my network. So with that being said, right, due to certain control or due to a certain justification, right, you can have it actually removed from a scorecard because it's isolated. It will never hit your internal system. It's a different VLAN, for example. So we also understand the challenges that companies face on this portion, and we are able to support with justification because it only makes sense. Similar case study for telcos. Telcos have a lot of IP range, but both of these IP range are actually subscribers on, which they have zero control over it. And same as what I mentioned earlier, they are able to work with us to let us know which are subscriber range we could have it excluded out from their scorecard. So it gives you a bit more accurate view of their score.
Yeah. In other words, you can limit your range for scanning to certain domains, right? So certain register.
Yes, but this has to be justified. For us, we are firm believer of our data. So unless it's being justified, we will not make any changes, or we're not that flexible to tailor to the customer request.
Yeah. Okay, so from my perspective, that especially when related to the third party, it's not for the first one or the second one, the third party. Will you able to catch if there's some, let's say some of the vendors got ransomware attack, and then some of the vendor got a data breach? Then how can you get the attribute for that?
That's a very good question. So for that being said, we are only able to capture incidents that are in the public internet. So
Okay.
when there's a news press release, then we will capture and we will put into their scorecard. The reason behind is if they don't report, even if they are your biggest supplier, if they don't report in the news, they don't report at all, you also will know. So it is how it actually works that way. Like, so we only capture from the open internet.
Sorry. If they don't report it, you can still know about it?
We won't be able to know. We only can capture
You won't be.
information from the open internet. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So it can be still there's some weakness here, because not many people declare when they have attack, right? Not all the policies in a certain country it force you to declare when you got some data breach, for instance. Yeah.
All right. So I think one loophole that I realized, even in my country that I reside in, right, Singapore, right, one loophole that I realized is that if you have a leak of your business contact, you don't have to report. You only have to report if you have a leakage of more than 500 PII. So what I meant by business contact, if I'm a B2B company, in my database in all businesses, anything leaks, I don't have to report because I'm a B2B. It's a business contact. Yeah. So I think there is a way of how it's being structured. And I won't say it's a loophole, but it's something interesting that I realized that business contact doesn't constitute to PII, for example. Yeah.
I see. Okay. So and according to my knowledge, yeah, you scan from the outside, like as you said, this is a hacker's perspective, yeah. So, but most of the perimeters, most of the security posture is within the perimeters, yeah. So, is there any way how to connect these things into our internal, like I say, dashboard or something? Because somehow we still need to manage inside perimeters in order to fix everything, right? So is there any way that we can automate that?
That's actually a very good question. So maybe sharing some of the case study as well. Most companies actually have a team, and the logs are actually coming from your firewall, coming from your EDR. These are all internal logs, which means when the threat actor has already come in, it doesn't give you complete visibility, because if there is one really small hole in the rooftop outside, right, the logs firewall won't tell you, your EDR won't tell you. Where that happens is where risk rating platforms come in. When we give the outside in view, leveraging on the inside out view in your SIM, we are able to correlate. By what I mean by correlate itself, right? You can also have any, for example, incident playbooks that if your SIM or your SOR could actually work on, you are able to, for example, let's say if there is a certain incident that happened, you can activate your playbook straight away to stop anything from happening. So this gives you more visibility on the outside in and inside out perspective. Yeah. That being said, companies that uses other GRC tools or ERM tools, I'll say it, enterprise risk management tools like Archer, you are able to get the data from SecurityScoreCard that will be integrated into Archer as well.
Oh, so Archer can consume your data from there. Is there any API connector that you provide?
So there's two ways. We do provide API connectors. Certain products, I believe we are able to do a direct integration. So for example, let's say if Splunk, IBM QRadar is your SIM, we can do a direct integration, for example. But that being said, you can also use an API way where you actually pull out data more of a one-way perspective. Yeah.
I see. So I'm wondering whether we can also connect to a GRC dashboard, because some of them are actually it's connected to the compliance features, compliance feasibilities, right? Is there any way connect these things, like how can we provide compliance into, like, let's say GDPR or ISO 27000 series or other perhaps local regulations that requires you to provide something, some evidence in fulfillment. Is there any way that you can also connect that?
Yes, definitely. So, we do help companies understand their compliance to various of frameworks. ISO being one of the most common one in Asia. Europe itself will be NIS 2.0, which is very new. DORA, for example. These are the frameworks that we can help to map the compliance. Just a note, these are the mapping of these are actually your external facing assets, which means it doesn't include your internal policies, it doesn't include your internal controls. But that being said, right, another portion of that, if you are using, let's say, another GRC platform, you are able to use based on the outside in or external assets, right? The compliance rate or how compliant are you to these controls, and you can pull API into your GRC platform.
I see.
Yeah.
So the company can just focus on that to fix it immediately, right?
All right. Aside from that, I shared a little bit more earlier on the collaborative cyber risk management. That being said, you are able to use automation tools. For example, let's say if you can assign to, let's say, infra teams, you can actually initiate this via Slack or Microsoft Teams.
Sorry, say again. I didn't hear that.
So you can initiate this action point for them to, or you can assign the ownership and have them have the message relate to them via Slack or Microsoft Teams. So it
Teams.
actually
I
automates.
see.
Correct. Automates for companies that are using Slack or Microsoft Teams.
Edwin, do you mind me to add some colors on the integration, Pak Harun?
Yeah, sure, Pak Mul. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. I think Pak Harun just raised a very important and interesting question, Pak. So regarding the integration, today SecurityScoreCard, what we do best and our strength is basically to protect the company from the outside in view, Pak. So our strong play is actually on the third-party risk management space. But however, today we can integrate with more than 98 global vendors out there, right? Company like Zira, ServiceNow, like what you mentioned about the GRC, so we can connect with GRC, Archer, and OneTrust. Right, so the integration is actually very simple, Pak Harun. So basically, you know, GRC is actually the workflow tools, right, Pak? They have a lot of operation, legal, finance, but what they don't do they also have assessment questionnaire, right, for the GRC tools. But why they integrate with SecurityScoreCard? Because they use one of our engine, which is focusing on the third-party risk, Pak. So within with our 12.7 million scanning the rating that we score every day, we can very quickly, within minutes, we can let you know what are the scoring of all the tiering vendors that you are working with. So the data we will ingest into the OneTrust, Archer, AXA, we have SIM platform like IBM QLadar, Splunk, Microsoft Sentinel, you name it. So today we have more than 98. But what happened if, let's say, we do not have the connector ready? We also have the API integration. You can also use the manual integration via API, Pak Harun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
but
go ahead. Please, you may proceed. You still have anything?
Yeah. So we have to based on what Edwin sharing, right? So what we do best from SecurityScoreCard, basically we are 100% non-intrusive, right? We scan only all the whole internet as long as your company have a digital footprint, digital asset. Within minutes, we can give you the scoring from A to F, right? So A will be besides the maturity level that we tell you, we also will tell you how likelihood to be breach of that organization. So that just now a while ago, I think one of the secretary, I forget the name. I think Pak Eric mentioned very nice, but I think slowly we see from global company, so they already set the very high standard. So if you're scoring below B, we may want to ask you to go. We will not stop. We will not disqualify you as our reseller or as our vendors, but we do need your help. We do need your help to go and fix your rating first before we allow you to connect to application. So yeah, the reason is actually very simple, but we want all the ecosystem of your partners to save from cyber criminals. So our mission, our vision is making the world a safest place from the cyber criminal. And we believe through the rating, we can help to achieve that. But today, 12.6 million company globally already trusting their scorecard to SecurityScoreCard.
Okay,
Thanks,
Pak.
Mo. Thanks,
Very
Mo.
well explained.
Yeah, no problem.
Harun,
No problem.
actually, I saw a question on the message, and I also wanted to talk a bit on that as well.
Sure,
So,
sure.
the third question itself, I actually got me very interested. The cost is higher. Why do companies actually underestimate third-party cyber risk? I will not share how SecurityScoreCard can contribute to mitigate this risk, but I wanted to also share based on what I understand from my friends in the industry, why are companies underestimating third-party cyber risk. Firstly, key challenges that I hear from security leaders, right, is firstly time. They do not have enough time. If you need someone to assess all your third-party vendors, you probably need someone full-time for the whole year. That's firstly. Secondly, it comes to budget. You probably might not have the budget to have one headcount just to do third-party risk for the whole company. Last but not least is resources. Third-party risk itself or third-party risk analysis itself has been up and rising. But there is a shortage of talents in the region. That is very true. There is a very huge shortage of cybersecurity talents, be it risk or security operations side in the ASEAN region itself. There are a lot of reports sharing that there is a huge gap in terms of the number of supply of cybersecurity professions versus the demand. And that is the three key reasons my friends or the people I spoke to actually share with me that why are they actually not being able to, or why are they underestimating? It's not that they are underestimating, it's just that due to multiple factors, these are some of the limits or limitations that they face. I'm not sure if Harun, you agree with what I share.
Yeah, Pak. Thank you for adding that. But still, if somehow we got alert from, let's say, the third or even the fourth layers of vendors, so are you involving also in delivering the message to them? I mean, did you reach out to the vendors, or is there any way that you let them know they have some security risk?
So that's a very good question. But that being said, right, it really boils down to the policies. I would say the policy process and procedure. For example, let's say if I will say most people I spoke to, so one funny part we talk about that, right, is I will always ask my friends, do you do questionnaire for your crypto supplier? They say, yes, I do questionnaire. I'll do Excel format, I'll have them fill up everything. They have send me, I'll do site. I say that's perfect, that's very good. The key question that I ask them is, the vendor that handles your financial data and the third-party vendor that delivers water to your office, do you use the same questionnaire? They'll start smiling and laughing, say, yeah, I think it's the same questionnaire that I don't have to double effort. From that conversation itself, I realized most of the companies, they actually lack the awareness of understanding the importance to tier your vendors. Tier your critical vendors. You can have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, or vendor critical. There isn't a framework that addresses to this, but I would like to think that there might be some references for you to tier them, the frequency of assessing them, whether to monitor them or not, and as well as how rigorous the questionnaire should be on these third-party critical suppliers. So I think that is one of the portion that I found quite interesting. And these are even larger companies. It could be a good company or it could be big companies. So that is I just want to share some of the case study that I experienced firsthand as well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Edwin. If you don't mind me, just to answer a question, Pak Harun. Today we have we are capable of reaching out to your third party, fourth party, even to your end party, Pak Harun.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
That's good to hear that. Because
Yes,
sometimes we don't even know who is the third or fourth layer from our end, right? So it's going to
yes,
be challenging if somehow we have some threat from those layers away from us. We don't even know how to contact that. So for
yes.
the actually from the other side, can we also depends on security scorecard to proactively protect those vendors that have a potential risk?
Yes,
The end.
I think that's a very good question. If I could put into perspective, for us, we are a tool. We are a tool that help you navigate that. We are here to tell you as a smart home. If uh, you pass this information to your critical vendor, say, hey, Mr. Vendor, there's a very small hole in your rooftop. I need to fix it. What if the vendor doesn't fix? So when we look at vendors, right, there's multiple case studies or maybe situations like if they are the only vendor that can achieve what you want. For example, this vendor is the only vendor that can produce this particular chip for you in the whole wide world. There's only one vendor. Whenever you ask them to fix any vulnerabilities, if they choose not to, you have no choice. Due to business reason, you still have to continue with them. So the question now goes down to how reliant or who is more reliant to each other. Are you more reliant to the supplier, or is the critical supplier more reliant to you? So for example, let me give you another scenario. If you were to go to Microsoft and tell Microsoft right now, there is one small hole, Microsoft will definitely ignore you. I'm pretty sure that Microsoft will not even reply to your email. Correct. That's why I say it's a very good question. It really depends on the dependency. Who needs who more? If the organization needs the third-party vendor more, then it will boil down to what other controls can you use or you put in place to mitigate this risk. But risk is not about, so the risk itself, right? If you ask me, avoiding risk is not possible. There is a certain risk that companies have to take. It's either you mitigate or you transfer. So these are the two ways that you can put risk in the risk in the risk land itself. Yep.
Yeah. So somehow it still goes back to the internal policy and how to handle that, right? Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. So when we talk about compliance things, yeah, we also dealing with the privacy issues. So is there any how any ideas how to connect this from the security scorecard?
I will say it is I mean that's a good question. I might or might not be wrong, because I'm not technical enough. But based on concept wise, what I can infer is such that um your crown jewels are actually your customer data, your customer privacy. And by usually if your organization is being attacked due to your external surface, you actually lost the due diligence to protect your customer data. That is more on the privacy side. If you pass your customer data to a third party supplier, for example, when you submit an RFP or you have an RFP, you wanted to find a provider for the company that manages your customer platform. For example, you shortlisted 3 companies. These 3 companies, they meet your financial requirements, they meet your technical requirements, but you won't know which companies are actually strong in cybersecurity, or they have a good posture, or they have a bad posture. So my question is, how will you know? You won't know. When you ask them to submit whether they comply, whether they are certified or not, 90% of the company will say, yes, I comply, I do this, I do that, I have this control, I have that control. But there isn't any validation. So what happens if the 3 of these vendors that you are selecting end up you go with the one with the lowest posture? What will happen? That would be the instance that might be affected, if you ask me.
Okay. That is interesting because we have we are implementing a new regulations regarding the PDP as well. So I believe in Singapore it's more major than that. So this compliance issue is not a joke one because it's involving a huge amount of penalties, right? Even in our countries also involving the jail time risk, if there's any breach, even though it's not properly implemented now. But yeah, is there any chance that also we have the new segment? It's not new actually. We're also dealing with the critical infrastructures, right? So is there any way you can also capture those telemetries from the ICS, from the OT system?
Yes, we do have some checks. That being said, we do have some checks. I will say we do not. I will not say that we have very comprehensive check on OT. OT also depends. If you are using SCADA, it's a very old generation, old kind of technology. These are usually internal. But I will say we are able to have checks on OT IT converged to products or IT OT converged devices, for
I see.
example. Yeah. Because OT,
Okay.
as we know, they are primarily on-prem. They are primarily air-gap. Yeah, but now there's this new term IT OT converge. They call it IoT and stuff like XIoT. I think technology is advancing so quickly that I'm still trying to learn the new jargon and terms as well.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, are you saying that if it's connected with the IP network, actually you can capture that, right?
Yes,
Okay.
as long as connected to the external facing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, noted. So, Bapak Ibu, is there any questions? Any more questions? Have you, Edwin? Can we go through to the question from the chat box? We have Pak Rahmat Mulyana. I'm
Yep.
curious that yeah. Can you just answer the question from Pak Rahmat, please?
I think we shared about it earlier. So the
Yeah.
question was why do we underestimate? It's because not that they underestimate, but there's a lot of limitations due to budget, time, and resource. How does SSC can contribute? I will not look as what our company motto is, like we want to make the world a safer place, but we can only help. And this help can only be done if it's a national state or national level where the national wide they understand the importance and they emphasize the certain implications of supply chain attacks. And when that happens, that will help where we are able to play a part to make or to mitigate these risks. So it usually starts from the national level where it has to be dictated by the government or certain rules in place, guidelines in place before companies will even consider this, because as what I shared, most companies that I speak to, they are on a very reactive mindset. They will say, I will get breached, I will get hacked, I will get attacked. The question is not when, the question is how are you going to get attacked? It's not, so we are, without that being said, right, without regulation enforced, without regulators mentioning about these attacks, it will take companies some time to be able to understand the importance of supply chain risks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have another one. We have another one from Pak Reza. When organization receive a poor cyber ratings, what are some typical missteps they take in trying to fix it? Are there better approach to using that feedback constructively without just reacting to the numbers?
Definitely. I will say one mistake one wrong approach the companies do, right, is when they see that maybe they're at B or they're at C, they say, wow, I have a lot of findings, I have a lot of issues, I want to fix everything. I think risk management is about understanding the priorities, prioritizing your risk, understanding what you can fix first, what you cannot fix first, depending on company appetite. So some organizations, their key thing is to fix all my critical assets first, all my critical vulnerabilities or findings. Some companies, they want to do a longer, more sustainable approach. What they will do is they will fix all the low-hanging fruits first. So with that being said, risk-rating platform like us, we are able to give the flexibility for you to understand what do you need to fix first. And one common misapproach that the companies do is when they see a score, I'm at D, I'm allowed to fix. They don't know what to fix first. So
Mhm.
at times like this, it requires either internal or external consultation for them to understand and help them prioritize their roadmap to fix.
I see. So however, you need resources to fix that, right?
Definitely, you definitely need resources. Be it internal or external resources, you need resources. And there's 101 ways to prioritize, but it really depends on the company's appetite and the company's policies and procedures to fix that.
I see. Okay, noted. We shall go to the next one from Ade Friana. For outsourced manpower embedded within internal teams and granted access to internal system and data, what specific treatment or control does SecurityScoreCard recommend to mitigate the risk beyond just network segmentation and limitation access? Do you have any insight for this?
That's a very good question, but I will say this is a question that SecurityScoreCard can't answer. The reason why is because for us, we will only let you know there's a small hole, how to close that hole. But for outsourced manpower that's embedded within internal team, these are actually warm bodies that are on site at your office. So these are things that if you are for example, if you have a FTP server that is connected between you and the outsourced manpower, and it is there's a VPN required to access that, we won't be able to know because our limitation is that we are not able to see the internal environment. So I think this question itself, it will be more of a enterprise architect question, which I might not be able to advise. Yeah.
I see. Okay, noted. So you cannot reach somehow you cannot reach the internal part.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, Pak Ade. Unfortunately, it's SecurityScoreCard is working from the outside in, so not so from the inside out. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So the next one is actually it's a good one. How to compare security ratings from one company to others, where the company may implement different security framework. Yeah, this is a good one from Patricia. Thank you, Bu Patrice.
Thank you. This is a very good question. I like addressing this. So for example, companies, some of them will align to NIST, some of them are aligned to ISO, different rating,
Yes.
framework controls. The key thing is for us, we serve at that standard, which means we use our way of calculation, the scores, and we serve at the single ruler, regardless what framework you create, you actually implement. You can implement NIST and you have a lot of findings. You can implement ISO but have zero findings. It isn't on what framework you implement or what framework you align or comply towards. Essentially, it is really more on how a hacker see you. A hacker doesn't really care you are using ISO framework or using NIST.
Yes.
The hacker's main motive is to see that small little hole in your rooftop and I'm going through that. That's what hackers do. So regardless of your framework you deploy or align or implement, it doesn't matter. Risk rating platform uses this as a hacker point of view, using this standard to tell you, say, how you look like in a hacker point of view. Yep.
Yeah, because I see the problem is when you have a different ratings, somehow some organization use this to measure the KPI. So this is what could be dangerous if they meet each other along, or let's say across the same industries, and they talk each other. They were using scorecard and they have a different rates or different score for each. So it might impact the day. I don't want to know. I want that fixed. Otherwise, you will not get your bonus by the end of the year. So that's something matters, man.
Yeah. So but I agree with you. I would like to use this analogy. Ideally, there should only be one USB type in the whole world. It should be either USB-C or Lightning. But unfortunately, we are living in a not that ideal world. There is multiple type of charging you can use. There's USB-C, there's Lightning cables. So unfortunately, for even for cybersecurity itself, there isn't a one size fit all approach. So I hope that this analogy will be interesting food for thought for everyone. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any more questions from the audience? So if not, actually, Edwin has some surprises for everyone here tonight. I believe this is the moment that we've been waiting. So, Edwin, can you share the slides? Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, this is the one that actually is very precious. SecurityScoreCard actually have also certifications for the product certification, and tonight you're going to give us for free. Is that correct, Edwin?
Yes, sir. Yeah, right. Correct. So to assess these causes, especially when we talk about third-party risk management, or supply chain itself, or even cybersecurity strategies in the boardroom, we do have some courses in our academy where you are able to use this promo code. So usually it's going for about 495 USD. For today's itself,
Okay.
we are happy to be part of the community sponsor or the community supporter for ISACA Indonesia. And using this code itself, members would be able to enjoy a free certification from us.
Awesome. So you have three options of class. Which one that
Actually,
can
we
we
have
go?
we have more. This code allows members to access to all courses only
To
for ISACA
all
members.
4 classes. Wow,
All
how
right,
generous of it.
all classes. Yeah.
So yeah, Bapak Ibu, don't forget to capture this because this slide cannot be shared. Yeah,
Yeah.
Edwin has already mentioned this because some of the data is considered as confidential data, so he cannot share to us. So please just
Yep.
capture this page. So you have a free access to get the certification from the Scorecard Academy. And how
Yep.
many? Is there any limit? How many person who can register?
We don't really need a lot of users because I know that ISACA
Oh,
Indonesia is
okay.
a big chapter. Yeah, it's a big chapter. So I know that we don't really limit about people.
Okay,
For us,
thank you
we always
very
believe
much.
in lifelong learning. Yeah, so I think this
I
will
see.
help our company understand a little bit more on third-party risk management as well as how to communicate cybersecurity in the boardroom.
Okay, thank you very much. This is so generous of you. And the other one is a curious. Can you explain what's this?
Yep. So for today itself, we do have we are offering up to 15 slots that we could help companies to give them a glimpse of how risk rating platforms help you gain visibility. So I see that there's a lot of people here. So unfortunately we can't do for everyone, but we will help the first 15 who actually registered interest. We'll provide you a glimpse of how risk rating platform is able to give you more information of your digital footprint. So as I'm speaking, please scan the QR code. We will only be able to help the first 15
Okay,
individuals that actually
so
submit. Yep.
this insight only for the first 15 register, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Correct.
but the
Correct.
academy can be accessed by everyone.
Yes,
Right.
you're right. There's no limit for the academy.
Okay, thank you very much, Edwin. And thank you very much. I believe we have almost ran out of time. So, Bapak Ibu, if there is no more questions for Edwin tonight, so I would like to thank you for everybody who's staying to this late, yeah, to up late, and then, I believe we have learned a lot of things in terms of third-party risk management from Edwin, and thank you very much for being such a wonderful speaker, especially when you just landed for a long trip from where? London? Oh no, from Bangkok
From
to
Bangkok,
Singapore.
yeah.
From Bangkok
Yeah.
to Singapore. Okay. So thank you very much, everybody. Hey, before we go, can we took a picture of everyone? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Bapak Ibu, if you don't mind, can you just open your camera and we take a picture for documentations? Okay. Madela, perhaps we can remove the spotlight so we can see the everyone on screen.
Ya, Bapak Ibu yang bersedia boleh untuk dibuka kameranya, nanti kita hitung ya bareng-bareng. Oke.
Oke.
3, tolong dibantu ya Mas Okti ya. 3, 2, 1. Oke, sekali lagi. 3, 2, 1. Ya, terima kasih. Terima kasih
Terima
Bapak.
kasih Bapak Ibu semua. Hati-hati di jalan, yang masih di jalan, yang masih di kantor. Selamat bekerja larut semalam. Saya juga masih di kantor. Mudah-mudahan pulang dengan selamat. Sampai berjumpa di acara MTS berikutnya. Jangan lupa wait for the announcement. We will have a wonderful next wonderful session. We'll talk about AI governance from OJK. So just mark the date. So see you later, Bapak Ibu. Good night, everyone. Have a good night sleep. Good night rest. So thank you, Edwin. Thank you very much, Pak Mulyanto. Thank you very much for everything. Thank you semua, Bapak Ibu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye everyone.
Yo, bye bye.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Thank you.